Hello, Hola, Konnichiwa, Salaam, Ciao Namaste. Peace to all. This is Soulology, the science of the soul. And we're going to talk about emotions. Whose emotions? Your emotions, my emotions, her emotions, his emotions, that guy that's drinking coffee's emotions, the employee who is working, the manager's emotions, everybody's emotions. We're going to talk about why it's so important to understand your emotions. And we're going to simply start off before we even start with anything. I want to go with this question. If you feel you don't understand your emotions, tell me, tell me down at the description below, or if there's something you're working on to try to understand it. I want to hear your story about who you are because I want to get a conversation going for us to grow and understand each other. Like I said, this helps us to grow ourselves as one. So I want to hear what people have to say. Anyways, though, each one of us has emotions that are vitally important. And due to the fact that we live in a patriarch society being more of a man's world, where we have this ideology that might is right and power is everything. We have this ideology and we feel and we believe that this is the only thing that is everything. Nothing else can be better than this because only the strong survive and the weak do not. There are winners and there are losers, and that's what we believe. However, this does not work because if it did work, it would benefit everyone, and it doesn't. So, since it does not benefit everyone, and we believe in that ideology that there are people who can't win and there are people who will win, this does not work because everyone is a winner. And on top of that, there are no people who are weak and people who are strong. You are a soul. And like I've said before, the pie theory I use, if you slice a pie thinly, is it the same pie? And the answer would always be yes. And the reason why it's always the same is because you still have the same pie. You are pieces to the same being, that entirety of who you are. There's only one soul, which makes it very interesting because, truth be told, because you're a soul, you are finite. There is no souls. That's how finite it is, and yet it's very infinite. Now, the question might be, well, how is that even possible that it's infinite and yet finite? It's finite because there is only one force of energy that is all. And that force of energy has split itself into several. It's like being an amoeba. An amoeba or bacteria will split itself into two. That two splits itself into another two, which comes to be four. Those four create another four, making it eight, and so on and so forth. And it's all from one. Only one. You are all the same thing, but we have an ideology that no, we're not the same due to color, due to um, religion, due to our sex, due to many things like we've talked about before um, in many videos. So now the question is, why are they important? Your emotions are important to you because, in especially dire situations, they allow you to know who you are and what works for you and what makes you healthy. Whether it's coping mechanisms, whether it's knowing when you feel a certain way, like having depression, or if about to get angry or enraged or anything, all these emotions are important to understand because there are unnatural ones that I have talked about. And I'll look into getting the playlist and putting that down below. If I don't put it on there, you can always message me, comment down below, and I will give you whatever information to make sure that I can give you the playlist for that. On top of that, for example, in my own experience, when I when I'm in an argument with someone, the one thing I know that works for me personally to keep me calm is to walk away. If I don't have that chance to walk away, it doesn't get pretty because of the fact that I need time and space to relax and keep my emotions calm. You can't go in with a mindset of believing in argument all the time and then putting more fire, or better yet more oil on the fire of your argument. So I leave to relax myself. um in many people's experience, that might be beneficial to you. That's just one example. Another example is, one way or another, these coexist with what I've talked before. The natural and the unnatural emotions. Your natural emotions, for example, are your anger, your grief, your fear, your love, your envy. You need these five emotions because of the simple fact that they work in growing who you are. You have your unnatural emotions. You have your panic, your enraged, your rage. You have your possessiveness. You have your depression. You have your jealousy. These emotions are unnatural and not beneficial, but we use them a lot and don't realize we use them a lot. So, for example, many people will tell you to get over your fears. But if you're nervous, for me, for example, there was one time where I had to perform to be a part of an opera, and or better yet, an opera group. And I was very nervous to the point of what was fear became panic. I was shaking. Because I needed to type up an interview for this, and pretty much what happened was I couldn't get on the computers because the computers were full from where I was located. I had a tablet, but it was taking me forever to find what I needed to write it correctly down, and I was so nervous because of the fact that I couldn't find, where am I going to put this, where am I going to print it, and I had to actually have two friends help me calm down because of the fact of how much of a panic I was in. Um, Realizing your fears, and and before even getting to realizing your fears, when I had gone actually to perform, and I had told them simply that I was extremely nervous because, and I apologized for being late because I had to do this and that, and the guy who was judging how well I did simply said, hey, 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 there are people starving in Africa, don't worry. And what I mean by just simply this story alone is that there are worse things out there that are going on. If you are feeling fearful or nervous, it could be maybe there are bills you have to pay, it could be feed family or anything. Take a moment back to yourself and realize that though this may be bad for you, or you may feel it's bad, there are worse things that are going on around the world. So you can change that one way or another, but it might be in your best interest to be relaxed. Fear was meant for you to, of course, overcome, but you first have to be willing to understand your fear so you can put mechanisms in place to relax yourself and understand yourself, whether it's being your peace, being your love, being your patience, knowing how would you act if you were those things to keep yourself going forward. That is just a simple example of how you may feel about a certain situation. When you are jealous, jealousy is an unnatural emotion due to what havoc it can cause, especially with family, friends, and other relationships with loved ones, to the point it makes us into something we are not. And when you are going through issues like this, the difference, again, I've said between envy and jealousy, envy is more of a desire to be like that person because you desire to get to that growth of who you are. However, jealousy is more of an upsetness of who a person is. It is the opposite of what envy is in any sense. So, when you are jealous, understanding why you're jealous, understanding what works for you to get past your jealousy is vitally important. Of course, some people may consider it healthy. In my own experience, I consider it extremely unhealthy due to what it can do and what harm it can cause to a person if you don't rid of it and change it yourself. When you get past that, you grow more of your envy of being not only just happy for other people, but happy for yourself and not worrying about what other people are thinking, saying, or doing, but just simply being who you truly are. When we talk about, for example, grief, it is important for you to cry. Some people might say, no, I'm a man, I don't cry, or I'm a woman, I don't cry, and this and that. But then the question is, why is it important? In my own experience, and even from the people around me I've seen, if you do not get out what you feel, the energy and frustration of what you feel, it gets bottled up in like kind of like a soda. No, exactly like a soda. It pops off. Letting people know how you feel about something is vitally important. Expressing how you feel about something is vitally important to not lead you down a line of negativity that does not benefit you in the long run. When you are realizing that you, in a sense, feel a certain way and you actually see it for yourself, at least you are at least observing what is going on at this point in time. Now, the question is, of course, what are you going to do about it? And that is something you need to be willing to think about of the self, is understanding that part of you. Possessiveness and love. We believe we possess people. We believe we possess everything in the world, from properties to land and everything. And due to this, we have a mind mentality. Um, though we have this mentality, this isn't really beneficial to who you are. Understanding your love is vitally important. We have a mentality of believing that we give people unconditional love with conditions. Giving people unconditional love with conditions does not truly grow your unconditional love, because now it is like a contract. And that is something not only that us in general do, we do this in relationships, marriages, and everything. And many people might think of, for example, why are there people who don't like to get married? Many people might not like to get married for the simple fact, they may not think of it like this, but it is the ideology of being put into a contract that if it doesn't work out, you can get X, Y, and Z. That is not very beneficial. And that is very, in a sense, being possessiveness of pretty much this contract or this marriage agreement or whatever you'd like to call it, makes it seem as though that if you do X, Y, and Z and everything goes this way, I take everything or I take half of this or whatnot, and it doesn't really help. When you are genuinely being unconditionally loving to a person, no matter how they feel or anything, you are very gentle about it. And even for me, this is something I'm constantly working on. I'm not even perfect when it comes to this, but I'm always willing to grow who I am as a person to get to that point that understanding your unconditional love and being caring and being willing to understand those around you. And because what you see in others, you see in yourself. When you are willing to be unconditionally loving and caring, and understanding is a part of that unconditional love of how people feel, think, as well as how do you feel and think, and getting past those things is what grows you. So these are just a few of the most important things that grow truly who you are. And then you have the last one I will do, which is anger. your anger is important, and it's very healthy because of the fact it allows you to say no to what you truly feel inside, and not be yes this, yes that, or be not even just close your mouth. You can't hear, you can't see, you can't talk. And you're constantly closing your mouth over those things. You have to be willing to express how you feel no matter what anyone says when necessary. When you are more enraged, this is an unnatural emotion because what it shows is that you truly you're lashing out without any reason of showing how you truly feel. And it's important to express yourself as best you can and communicate that towards anyone, no matter what you feel. If you feel no about that, then you should express it. Holding on to that will lead to a lot of anger, a lot of, or not even anger, more rage and regret because of the fact that you did not say that. It's as though following the rules to the game, and because you did not get what you desired, it can lead to being upset that you followed everything and got nowhere to where you truly feel. So, these are only a few. We can simply even go as far as to talk about just any way of expressing your emotions as best you can, no matter what you feel. If you're upset or something, or you're surprised about something, telling someone how you feel. And on the other end of the spectrum, also being willing to understand those before you, because we all have emotions. But many of us do not want to show them because of the fact that we are afraid that we are going to get hurt or anything. But you have to understand that whether you are hurting or not, it's important to express yourself because, yes, if that time comes, yes, you're going to feel that way. But it allows you to grow the strength within who you are, understanding who you are to understand those around you. It's giving you the medicine necessary to grow who you truly are at the end of the day instead of what other people think. And that is also another part of just understanding your emotions, that it's not really important what other people think of you. And we constantly may feel that way. Even I sometimes feel that way. But I have to remember that I have to love me for me no matter what. And that is sometimes hard. It's not always easy. But still, it's vitally important to love who you are no matter what people say or do, no matter what they say you are. As long as you know who you are, that's all that matters. You may not be perfect, but you have to be willing to be perfectly who you are and evolve and grow and love everything you are and being your amazingness, your beauty, your divinity. Because remember always that you are the gods, the goddesses, and the creators within. So to everybody out there, have a good morning, have a great afternoon,